Pleasure to welcome to the Luck on Sunday studio for the first time the self-styled trainer with a difference, a man who forged, no pun intended, a hugely successful career as a farrier before going on to hit the headlines in even more emphatic fashion with success under both codes with a training licence. He is, of course, Gavin Cromwell, en route to Lingfield with Darvastar, the former champion hurdle third, and a very exciting novice hurdler. So thanks for stopping by, Gavin.
Good morning, Nick.
And is it a first visit to Lingfield for you this afternoon?
It is, yeah. Looking forward to it.
And, I mean, when did you sort of think, that could be quite an interesting departure? Because we saw a few Irish horses enter, but not that many.
Yeah, look, with Darvastar, he's probably a little bit hard to place. I was looking for conditions races and stumbled across that race.
And so here you are, just three of them, and it looks a lovely opportunity.
Absolutely, yeah. I suppose from the sponsors and the track, it's probably a little bit disappointing for them that there's only three runners, but I think it will be a good race all the same.
I mean, you are firmly established now as one of the most respected trainers in Ireland, as I say, under both codes. You've had Royal Ascot winners, you've had Breeders' Cup runners, you've had a whole slew of Cheltenham Festival winners, a champion hurdle winner, a stayers hurdle winner. If I told you 15, 20 years ago that you'd be in this position now, what would you have said?
If you told me that 5 or 6 years ago, I'd have told you you're mad. Yeah, look, going back a few years and not very long ago, I would have never contemplated that I would be a full-time trainer. It just evolved, and thankfully so. I now work at my hobby and enjoy it.
So you're working at what used to be your hobby when you were a full-time farrier. So were you marrying the two for a little while?
Absolutely. I used to ride out a few in the morning before I would go shoeing, and I suppose I was lucky enough from a small trainer point of view that I had the farrier job to basically fund the training and fund the building of the yard and the gallops. I wasn't reliant on the actual training to do that, so I got to improve the yard as I was from funding from the shoeing. And
so when you trained as a farrier, did you train as a farrier right from the outset, right from leaving school?
Yeah, absolutely.
Somebody telling you to do decorations.
That's exactly what it is.
It always is.
Yeah.
Every week.
Well, look, I worked for summer holidays. I went to Desi Hughes and I went on to Newmarket. Had notions of being a jockey. Simply wasn't good enough. And I thought a farrier I could make a living at that and still be in the industry. And I rode in a few points as just for fun, and it evolved from there.
How was Desi Hughes to ride out for? So what were you, really young, sort of teenage?
Yeah, absolutely.
Teenagers?
I went there when I was 14 from summer holidays, and again back the following year. And I was going to leave school, and Desi, being the gent that he is, he told my dad send him back to school. He wasn't good enough to be a jockey. So, I think a lot of trainers would have just, it was another employee and let them leave school. But that was the gent that Desi was. So that's what got me started. And when I finished school, I went to Newmarket and worked there for a while, and went on to Australia and worked there, and came back to start my apprenticeship as a farrier.
So you must have sort of been acquiring little bits and pieces from all these places. I mean, you can't start anywhere better than Desi Hughes. Where did you work in Newmarket?
Ben Hambry, the first year I went, and Paul Calloway then. And then I went on to Australia, and I worked at Flemington Racetrack for a fellow called Johnny Marr, who's since retired. And then I came back to start my apprenticeship.
There aren't many people who now come on the show who've worked under Paul Calloway, who had a pretty formidable and fearsome reputation. Was he as hard a taskmaster as his reputation suggests?
At the time in Newmarket, there actually wasn't very many jobs going in Newmarket. It was in a bit of a lull, and it was the only place I could get a job, and I think that was because he was so tough. But
nobody else wanted to work there.
Nobody else wanted to work there, but look, it was fine.
How long did you last?
I was there for about 9 months, I think.
That's not bad going.
Yeah. I know I got on fine with him.
Did you feel in all this time that you were actually learning?
Well, I never really had it in my head that I was going to go training anyway, but look, every day is a school day, isn't it? So I think I learned more when I was a farrier than I did while I worked in racing.
Interesting.
Going around different yards. I shod for Pat Martin was the first trainer I shod for. I shod for him for 20 odd years, and he's a small trainer but a very clever man, and always picked up plenty. And then of course Gordon Elliott has shod for Gordon up until a couple of years ago. I'm sure I don't need to tell you the story there. So you definitely learn a lot going into different places and picking up what you want to. Not everybody they don't do everything right, but if you can pick up a little bit everywhere.
And you have that such close physical working relationship with the horse as well. Does that help you understand them a little better?
Yeah, definitely. While you're shoeing, you do learn an awful lot about the mentality of horses, apart from the physical, the soundness part of it. You really do. You're with them constantly, and you do get to appreciate that they're a herd animal, and you get in their mind a little bit.
And presumably, technically, it's quite a challenging job, quite a demanding job. I know physically it's a demanding job, but there is no margin for error, is there? Especially when you are shoeing either an Olympic eventer or a horse that's about to run in a derby. It's quite high pressure.
Yeah, absolutely. And I've shot a couple of Grand National winners and Gold Cup winner, and shot Keane O'Connor's horse that won the gold medal at the Olympics and subsequently lost it again. But I suppose when you get used to doing all of that, it's fine. I enjoyed it all the time I was doing it, but it was very hard work, and I'm not sorry to be finished it, but it was very good to me.
You talk about your relationship with Gordon Elliott and working for him. He only started with a license, 2004, 5, something like that, as a very young guy. Was it obvious to you fairly early on that he was just a little out of the ordinary?
Absolutely, yeah. He started training pointers first, and he hit the ground running straight away. He was a very good amateur rider himself, and he was a worker. And I don't think anybody would have foreseen that he went as far as he did, as quick as he did, but he's done a fantastic job. So
what do you think characterises him? What has made him as successful as he has become from pretty much nothing?
Very good horseman, very good, obviously very clever, and a very good delegator. Always seems to have everybody in the right places and doing the right things. That's interesting.
So able, confident enough in his team to devolve a certain amount of responsibility?
Absolutely, yeah, and it's easier said than done.
And is that what you've found since you've taken out a licence? You're wanting to give responsibility, but sometimes your mind doesn't let you.
Yeah, possibly. I always trying to do everything myself, which you can't do, and definitely you need to pass on the responsibility.
And I guess that came from being a multitasker in the first place, didn't it? Yeah, I can do this, I can do a little bit of that, and I can take it all on myself.
Yeah, possibly so, yeah.
So where's the tipping point then, Gavin? When you started training the odd horse, when did you start thinking, well, hang on a minute, this is becoming a bit more than a hobby. This is starting to take over a bit.
There wasn't really a point as such. I just kept taking horses in, and just got busier and busier, and I just got to a stage where I didn't have time to shoe anymore. I had a few lads working for me, so I was able to juggle things around a bit. But then, it got to a stage where I just really wasn't able to go myself, and there's certain jobs that I needed to be there myself, and I just I just had to stop.
And so the facility got larger. People wanted to keep sending you horses, and were you coping quite well with the expansion? Were you kind of coping with that okay mentally?
Yeah. If you're not growing, you're dying, and I love growing. I love trying to improve, and we're constantly trying to improve stuff at home, and I think I'll always continue to do that. I'm not necessarily get bigger, but improve. I do enjoy that.
And you describe yourself as a trainer with a difference, and it's not just because you were a farrier turned trainer. You obviously feel that there's something you can bring to training racehorses that perhaps you haven't seen elsewhere. What do you think that is?
I couldn't just tell you that, to be honest. I don't know. I don't know what I do different or what we do. I don't know if we do anything different, but I suppose it's working anyway.
Mm-hmm. It is. It's certainly working. Can you identify a point where you felt you belonged in a big league of trainers?
I'm not sure that I still do, but as I said, like, we've kind of evolved into this, and all of a sudden we're here. Mm.
And you will forever be remembered for the sadly ill-fated Espoir d'Allen winning the champion hurdle, and he didn't just win it; he won it by an awful long way. How important a day for you was that?
It was surreal, really, to be honest. He was a 5-year-old going there, very much under the radar. And look, I wouldn't have been surprised if he was placed or maybe won, but in the manner that he won was unbelievable, really.
I mean, he barely came off the bridle, and because we sadly didn't get to see him again, really, I wonder whether the performance is slightly lost in history, but it oughtn't to be. Just tell me a little bit about that year and the sort of high and then the low.
I suppose the build up to the champion hurdle, like, he was never a definite runner in it. Really until a couple of weeks beforehand. He'd done very little wrong all the way, but being just a 5-year-old, I've spoken to JP and Frank and all that team, and we thought he would run with the view that if he ran well, maybe he could go back next year. He was fantastic on the day, and such a sad end to the whole thing, really. And he was a wonderful horse.
A very special horse, and a very important moment for you. And at that point, did horses just start flooding into the yard?
No, not necessarily. No, but the one thing that did come out of that was, I think we all gained confidence, that we could handle a good horse, and not just me, but all the staff in the yard.
Yeah.
And it's like, they're so important. I mean, I can't do my job without them, and they're very good. And
there was a 50% increase in winners the next season, and I think about the same increase in prize money as well. So things, it obviously gave the yard significant momentum.
Yeah, I think it probably reads a little bit wrong in the fact that we had quite a lot of winners that summer after Espoir d'Allen, and those horses were probably already there.
Yeah,
and I suppose it makes the stats look a little bit different, but it certainly helped. As I said, it helped in confidence as well.
You mentioned your staff, and in common with so many other people who I've interviewed, they say they're nothing without the team of people. But getting the team of people around you is a challenge. How have you found that over the years?
It's very difficult. And it's ongoing. It's never ending. I mean, I think every day I'm trying to recruit. Every person that I meet, I'm interviewing them in my own head, trying to recruit. But I think that's across the board. I mean, I'm sure other trainers are the same.
So even when you're at the races, just whoever you're chatting to, there's always a possibility. There's always a business to be done, if you like.
That's it. And I suppose it's probably not just racing, but that's business. And and if you want to be the best or be good at your game, that's what you need to do.
You're not a showman, that's obvious, but are you a good salesman?
Probably not as good as I should be. Like I would love to get, like, all owners are good, but you would love to get some more of the owners that will spend the big budget and to buy the bigger horse. Maybe just don't sell myself well enough to get them yet, but we'll keep working on it.
But what would you say are the most crucial aspects of retaining the owners that you do have? What makes a good trainer as far as relationships with owners are concerned? Because you've got a lot of them. You've got a lot of syndicates as well.
Yeah, look, it's not simple, but try and build up a relationship as best you can, and be straight and honest, and try and get results.
Mm-hmm. So it's a question of trust and integrity. And what about communication? How do you find that in terms of you've got, as I say, a lot of owners, a lot of syndicate owners as well. Do you feel it's necessary that you're into them all the time, that you're ringing them, you're calling them, you're sort of available point of contact?
Yeah, absolutely. I think you probably can't do enough of it, but you can't do everything either. So we do try and send videos and updates as best we can, and try and phone the owners as best I can. And it's not simple because we do have a lot of owners, but you just have to work hard at it. Yeah,
and you're in the entertainment industry after all. You are here off the back of what's been an amazing year in a sense, having a Royal Ascot winner with Quick Susie in the Queen Mary and the two winners at Cheltenham. I get the feeling when I talk to you that Royal Ascot winner almost gave you more of a kick than the Cheltenham winners.
Well, I won't say more, but probably equalled. It was fantastic. I had never been to Royal Ascot, and I'd been threatening to go for years, and always too busy, and just didn't get around to it. And I said 2 years ago, I'm not going to go now till I have a runner, and to go. I've just so excited to actually have a runner, and that I thought had a live chance. And then to go and win, it was fantastic, and it was the first day that there was, albeit limited, crowds back, where I had experienced crowds back at racing. I think it was 12,000 or something like that, but it was, it just was a real good atmosphere.
So a special day.
It was.
And I guess, do you feel less pressure taking a 5 furlong 2-year-old to a flat race at Royal Ascot than you do turning up to Cheltenham with Flooring Porter and co?
I was quite nervous with the preliminaries. She was, as you would expect with a sprinter. She was a ball of nerves, and she got a little bit upset in the stalls as well. Just so nervous, and hoping that everything would just go right. If she was beaten fair and square, I had no problem with that. Mm-hmm. But you just hate for any little thing to go wrong and to have an excuse. You don't want any excuses, and that's across the board with all the runners, really. You just want to do your job as best you can, and hate to walk away and say, I could have done something different, I could have done it better, you don't want excuses. If they're not good enough, they're not good enough. But you like to give them every chance.
And it all worked out absolutely perfectly.
Absolutely. And look, we were so lucky. We got the draw, and the favourite drawn beside us, and it just you couldn't write the script, really.
And she's now continuing her career in America?
Yeah, she hasn't run yet. She went on a break when she got there. Obviously, she missed the run in the Breeders' Cup, and that was very disappointing too, to have got her that far. And of course, the filly that she beat in Royal Ascot went and won.
When you talk about getting her absolutely right for the day, and you talk about your understanding of horses from your time as a farrier, if there's one horse that you need to understand his head, and if you know where I'm going,
where
you're going with this.
Yeah.
It's Flooring Porter.
Yeah.
Does him repeating his triumph at Cheltenham this year depend on basically what side of bed he gets out of?
I think we have him in a good place. The prelims in Leopardstown went very well. He really behaved himself. And that's that is a big part, is just to get him to the start and get him to jump off, albeit in the right position.
Well, I mean, what's he like at home? Because we sort of obviously see him as this, fiery but brilliant talent.
He's an absolute gent in his routine. But if you take him out of that, he lights up, and it's what's going on here. But he's in his routine. He's fine. He's good, and he's a lot more. He has grown up a lot this year. I've even noticed he will actually put his head out over the stable door and come and let you pat him, where before he would stand at the back of the stable. He's just an odd character. But he's grown up now and he's settled down.
So he is just a bit eccentric. He is an oddball. You've definitely done those decks, haven't you?
I keep pressing snooze. That's the problem.
Does it give you great satisfaction training a horse like him? Because he's a bit more of a puzzle. You actually have to think about it. You have to think your way through his regime.
Maybe so, but in one way, we never. We didn't maybe utilise his talent early enough. Mm-hmm. He made the running in a Premier, in a Grade B handicap in Navan, not by design. He was supposed to be dropped in, and he barged the tape and made the running and won. And then we realised that this is the way to ride the horse.
Yeah.
So is it a case that we didn't spot this early enough? Maybe so. But
funnily enough, Classical Dream seems to have accidentally, on purpose, done the same thing.
So maybe Willie Mullen's got something different, something wrong as well. I don't know, but listen, he's obviously got a huge engine, and he's come out of Leopardstown really well, and looking forward to Cheltenham.
And you're not going to be missing the kick at Cheltenham, are you?
Well, I hope not. I certainly hope not.
And the relationship now that he's building up with Danny Mullins looks as though it could be a pretty important one. You're obviously a huge fan of Danny's talents. What do you think he brings to the table?
Look, Danny's a real good horseman, and he obviously got a great tune out of him in Cheltenham, and I thought was particularly good on him at the start in Cheltenham, and subsequently he was again in Leopardstown, and all right, he missed the break, and Classical Dream got it, but he seems to get on with it.
I mean, I found it intriguing. You very rarely see a horse produce a performance like this over a staying trip, where he's almost hard into the bridle all the way around and then still delivering up the hill, and it's almost as though he had a look around him halfway up the running. Yeah,
when you look back at it, you'd wonder where he even got a breather, but I suppose he got a little bit of a breather going down the hill, but he just has a massive engine.
And I remember speaking to you the week before Cheltenham, and there's not many trainers who could be so confident, not just about him, but about Vanillier, the horse who won the Albert Bartlett at a very big price. And you told the world, he still went off at a huge price. Could you quite believe it?
No, look at it, and he won so well on the day. He just really started to spark about 2 weeks before Cheltenham. He was a different horse, and he didn't spark the last day in Leopardstown, but he worked last week and worked really well, and he might actually go next Sunday to Naas for a Grade 3 chase. Mm-hmm. Looking forward to him again.
I mean, so we know what this fella Flooring Porter's going to do. He'll go back to try and defend his Stayers Hurdle crown. Will he now go straight to Cheltenham?
Yeah, we'll try and replicate what we did last year and go straight to Cheltenham.
And Vanillier goes to Naas next weekend. Are you still confident that he can reach the same sort of heights over fences that he did over hurdles?
Yeah, I think a few people might have him written off, but I think there's more to come.
And most importantly, most immediately, the two runners at Lingfield this afternoon. Yeah,
Darver Star, I'm so happy that he came back in Punchestown a few weeks ago, and he won convincingly, and won, very impressive. His chasing career, it just never really got going properly. Last year he ran the Grade 1 chase in Leopardstown at Christmas, and he kind of ran 2 races in one, and he tried very, very hard, and I think that was the end of the season. Really, he left the season behind him, I thought. and we took him back this year, and he got a fall 2 out in Naas, and he lost his confidence, and then we went to Thurles and he finished second, but never really jumped the fence. And so look, we made the decision to go back hurdling, and it took him probably half of the race to warm up to it, but when he did, he started to enjoy it, and he was very good.
And you like your novice hurdler, Fame After the Glory?
I do. I've always liked him. I know he's after getting beaten a couple of maiden hurdles, but going left-handed is going to be a big help to him, and he'll love the ground. So look, he's a little bit fine, but I think he should be thereabouts.
It could be a very good day, because the two of them at Lingfield have got great chances. Mare Jeremy's Flame must have a strong chance in the Grade 2 at Thurles.
Yeah, I thought she was very good the last day in Naas. She's another horse that has finally decided to grow up. She's just not very straightforward, but we seem to have a bit of a handle on her now, and she's finally starting to settle down a bit.
You're good with the tricky ones, aren't you? That might be the secret.
I don't know. Maybe it's they've taken their time to come to hand, but at least they have.
But is that not it from what you were saying? That it's the understanding of the horse. It's not simply enter them, run them, gallop them, whatever that everybody can do. It's trying to understand the horse and maximise the potential.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a massive part of it. And some horses take a lot more training and some take a lot less. And I suppose it's trying to identify that. If identifying it sooner rather than later, I suppose, is a big thing. Getting them healthy is a huge part.
Well, what is very healthy is your level of success under both codes. Gavin, best of luck for the next few months, particularly this afternoon. Thanks so much for coming in.
Thanks, Nick.
Multiple Grade 1 winning trainer, Gavin Cromwell, who has plenty to look forward to.